Hey there in YouTube land, and if you like superheroes and super movies and TV shows and stuff like that, then you're probably going to like my channel today because we're going to be talking about superheroes, movies, and TV shows. And why? Because, well, the obvious reasons right there in the background. I've been watching the Daredevil series that was on Netflix by Marvel, and if you haven't seen it, I really strongly recommend it. I'm going to try and remain as spoiler-free as possible because I think this is something that you should experience yourself. However, I wanted to talk about the show just a little bit, talk about casting, and talk about how I think they're doing with the series and how it compares with other shows. It's basically other kind of programming that's on as superhero wise. So we're going to be looking at all the different Marvel shows and the DC shows as well. As you guys know, in my opinion anyway, up to this point, Marvel has not been hitting it out of the park with television shows. The Agents of Shield show has been hit or miss, and it's one of those that was really, really not good when it first started. It got better as it went on, but it doesn't have that feel, that real feel that in my opinion that it should have. Is it getting there? It's getting there, but it's taken way too long for it to get there. And if it gets there, that's fantastic. But it's already lost me as a viewer a couple times. I'm already not going to watch any more of the second season until it's finished, and then I'll just go buy the season just and watch it that way. I did watch Peggy Carter. Ran 8 solid episodes. Again, I thought that was a great show. It's kind of like Mad Men-esque, and it's like going throwback to that era. I did not think I was going to like Peggy Carter because I was not a big fan of what they'd done with Agents of Shield. However, I got to say Peggy Carter was really solidly done. The acting was fantastic in that one. Uh, it didn't try to bite off more than it could chew, and it did a great job. And it's set up for doing more with Carter. And I hope to see there's another season of the Peggy Carter show that was really well done. And it's kind of saddens me that that show didn't do as well. Well, Agents of Shield did better, and what the hell, guys? That's my personal opinion on that. DC has been the ones that have been knocking it out of the park so far when it comes to superhero shows. See, DC kind of really started off the Smallville thing, and Smallville is one of those shows that beginning either love it or hate it. But by the time the second season came around, Smallville had become pretty solid as a series. There were certain things that kind of made it sometimes monster of the week type thing or Kryptonian monster of the week because it all would go back to kryptonite some way or another when it started. But the show grew and matured, and although I didn't like every turn that it took in the series, I do think that Smallville is pretty much the best representation that we've seen of the Man of Steel on the small screen. And I mean, there's been some great representations of the Man of Steel. I did enjoy the kind of cheesy aspect of Superboy. I thought that as a series, Superboy that came out before that did a really decent job of staying very comic booky, and sometimes better than others. But there were some really quality episodes in that series. And the second actor to play Superman, Superboy, Jared Christopher, was actually supposed to go on and play Superman in the next series, but they found out that he was attached to the Superboy series, and and they didn't hire him after that. Instead, they hired a guy by the name of Dean Cain, who played it in a show called Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman. And that was pretty much that was a character show. That was kind of like a screwball, like 30s, 40s comedy type of series. Did really well. Did a great job of what it did. It was more about the characters, and it was for the first time. It was more about Clark than it was about Superman. Many interpretations of Superman takes Clark and pretty much makes it like Clark is just something he puts on, and Superman is like his real identity. In Lois and Clark, Clark was is who he was. He was Clark Kent, and he puts on the super suit to be, to use his powers and do what he can do. That's how I always took Superman. I never took it Superman as being, as being like a schizophrenic, almost like other personality, like Batman sort of, kind of is with the whole Batman Bruce Wayne thing. But anyway, back on farther is the Adventures of Superman, which was a fantastic series starring George Reed. Now, all that being said, how's it going with today's shows? Well, Arrow has been pretty great right from the get-go. Arrow's first season was extremely solid. Second season was way better. I think that the ending of the second season went off a bit. I think the ending of the first season of Arrow, in my opinion, was really solid, and the villain was fantastic. The villain second season was amazing, but I feel a little bit empty with the ending of the second season of Arrow. This season of Arrow with Ra's al Ghul, It's been pretty good so far, but it hasn't got me the way that the second season has. It hasn't like been one of those things where I gotta be there every week. I mean, I'll watch it, but I won't watch it with the urgency that I watch the second season. And that's just me. That's my opinion on it. Now, Flash, every week I'm there. Every week I'm there, and it's been pretty solid so far. The casting's been fantastic in the Flash. It's just been such a well done series, and it's a joy to watch. There's so many dark and gritty shows and Christopher Nolan-esque type series that they try to put out there. The Flash is different. It's unique, and it's something that's a breath of fresh air that we need right now. Now let's get to Daredevil. Netflix basically aired Daredevil. They showed all the episodes on they came out on the 10th, and we've been going to watch them. We watched the first one, but I've been exhausted from work, and plus last night there's a big game that I had to go to, so we had kind of like a date night, a couples night, and just did some of our stuff. Watched Blackula, and today we got back to watching Daredevil again. And I got to be honest, guys, incredible, loving it. For me, Daredevil, this is the best representation of Daredevil. Period. It gets into it does get into a lot of the Frank Miller stuff, and I think some of the Ann Nocenti. I don't see it as a complete adaptation of Daredevil Man Without Fear, though I get the parallels with that comic series. Was a great series, actually. 5 issues. If you haven't read it, it's really, really cool. Frank Miller wrote it. It's the drawings by Klaus Janson. And it's just an incredible one. Though Frank Miller was not the be-all end-all of Daredevil. He did start a really good run on Daredevil, but since then people have done some amazing stuff with the character of Daredevil. It irks me. I like Frank Miller, but it irks me when he tends to get all the credit. We're going to talk about the whole Frank Miller getting too much credit thing when we start talking about Batman in my next video, in my superhero ranking video. It's gonna get some dislikes, but anyway, this one is pretty Frank Miller-esque, and I don't mind that for this series. Daredevil was a character that he was okay. He wasn't doing the greatest before Miller's run on Daredevil. Let's say Miller's run really brought up Daredevil to a different aspect. He got a new kind of a crime, grittier aspect, and he used the character of Kingpin, which had been used previously in the Spider-Man comics, as kind of a, pardon the pun, but kind of the linchpin to really go on with this. And he did some great things with the characters. He did some things I didn't agree with the characters, but overall I really enjoyed his run, and the runs that went on after that. Just a lot of cases I've found that he took the ball and ran with it and did just as good, and some even better, than some of the stuff that Miller had started. But in this series here, Daredevil is played by Charlie Cox. Charlie Cox is an English actor, which you won't be able to tell from this series because he does an amazing job of hiding his accent. Cox is perfect in the role of Matt Murdock and Daredevil. I gotta be honest with you, everybody is casted so amazingly in this series. It's spot on for me. Foggy is great. Karen Page has that vulnerability that you need because you know where Karen Page's character could go, and we're not sure where it's going to go that way in this series. I don't see it going that way, at least in the first season. I'm hoping this is going to be a continuous show, but we're going to see more seasons of this. I'm hoping that we're not going to have 4 years for it, like it's been rumored. Again, Vincent D'Onofrio, who plays Kingpin, he's an incredible actor. And I'm not a fan of method acting. I've never been from my days in acting, I was never a method type of guy. But D'Onofrio, it definitely works for him. He really becomes this character, and in doing so, he doesn't just become it in the way you would see in Batman with Christian Bale becoming Bruce Wayne in Batman, where it's just a pretty much surface portrayal of the character. No, he becomes a fully fleshed out, completely three-dimensional character. The Kingpin is not just this evil villain. There are so many facets to the Kingpin character in this series, and you get to see them all. You get to see him at his most vulnerable, and even early on. And they don't just bring him in right away. He's brought in the show eventually. There's a build-up to the Kingpin's being brought into the show. The character of Vanessa will be in the series. I won't go into how, but Vanessa Kingpin is someone very important. Vanessa is someone very important to Kingpin Wilson Fisk, and we'll find out. We'll see that relationship as well. We're going to basically what the show does. It gives you a parallel. Daredevil, Matt Murdock, is out to save Hell's Kitchen. He's out to save his city. He's seen it go down into like pretty much disrepair and destruction and corruption, and he wants to save the city from that. He wants to make Hell's Kitchen a place where people can walk the streets safe again. And Wilson Fisk wants the same thing, except he's going about it in a different way. Matt Murdock is putting on the Daredevil outfit and going out to stop the mob. His first thing is going after the Russian mob, who are a very vicious mob in the series. And even those like characters, which you think are going to be just secondary characters or villains, they get really fleshed out as well. You're going to get nobody's just one line or one note here. This is really, really well done. The fight sequences in this show are some of the best I've ever seen, period. It is incredible. It's not wire work. It's really, really well done. Very solid, strong, realistic fight scenes. And that, aside from actually being in a fight, that's really a lot of what it's like. It's fists and punching, and the stuff that he does is he does some amazing stuff, but it's all stuff that you can practically do. He's not doing any Superman-esque stuff. What he does is all possible to be trained to do, and they've really done that well with the show. The way he maneuvers around his blindness has been done extremely well. It doesn't come off cartoony the way that it did in the Daredevil movie that came out in the was that in the 2000s, right? The Daredevil movie, was that in the 2000s or the 90s, right? 2000s, yeah. Anyway, yeah, and as of yet, I have not seen Elektra. Though it is mentioned early in the series that Matt Murdock tends to fall for the wrong girls, whether that's kind of alluding to someone in his past, for like her, or something else. We really don't know. It's just kind of a passing reference, and you kind of catch it if you're a Daredevil fan that maybe because in the comics I know he met her in his college years, so maybe that's being alluded to, and that'll come back either in this season or maybe another season for the show. But the first half of the season deals with the start of Daredevil, and it starts out with him as Daredevil. We kind of flash back to get to the origin. The guy that plays his father is amazing. I wanted to see more scenes with that guy. He was just so incredible in the role of Jack Murdock. He's just, and it goes into that territory, and really, really well done. I'm getting on to the 7th episode where we're going to be introduced to a very important Daredevil character by the name of Stick. And if you know who Stick is, then you know where we're going with this one. One of the most important characters for me in the Daredevil mythos. And I think it's being played by, oh God, I'm not sure, Steve McHattie, I think, is playing the role of Stick. And if that's true, that's pretty spot on. For that role, it was like, is it going to be Steve McHattie or is it going to be Lance Henriksen? That was a type of actor that you kind of picture in the role of Stick. Well, I did anyway, even from growing up, when I first heard about the character. The series there hasn't been a bad episode, there hasn't been a filler episode, because the series runs about, I think it's 12 to 13 episodes. It's been extremely solid all the way through. The acting has been incredible. The relationships have built. Nothing just comes about or just happens. Everything ties into something else that it's built upon. Nothing seems convoluted. Everything kind of just comes into a natural progression, and that's one of the greatest things about the show, is there is a natural, realistic progression. And I'm not expecting a superhero series to be realistic. It's a superhero series at the end of the day. A guy is putting on a costume to fight bad guys that are villains. That's like whenever people look at me and they say, we got to make the superhero more realistic. It's not realistic. Batman's not a realistic character. It's a guy that dresses like a bat that fights an evil clown. So no, realism's out the window there, but you want to make it as fun as possible. This series is gritty, and I always thought as Moon Knight as kind of like the version of the Marvel's version of Batman. But honestly, I got to be honest with you. Watching this, I could really see Daredevil in many ways as being Marvel's version of Batman, as a gritty, realistic character without the the whole flashy like rich thing going on.
It's not realistic. All it is it's not campy. You go both ways. You can go camp, or you can go.
Or you can go middle of the road.
Well, this is middle of the road.
I wouldn't say it's middle. It's gone to. Oh, it's not meant to be like a realistic series. It's not meant to be a campy series. And there's nothing wrong with camp. I love camp for certain shows and for certain time periods. This is, yeah, the realistic's a wrong word to use. Okay, this is an accurate portrayal of the Daredevil comic book on screen because realistic is a word that really trips people up. It's the reason that we have comic book movies that are supposed to be good not work so well.
I think people say realistic when they want it to be dramatic and sad. Which is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm going to get emo about it.
Well, that's what it is. They want emo. Emo is what they think realistic should be.
Yeah, that's not realistic. That's just.
No, this was a good balance, I think.
Yeah, for me, this is the perfect balance for a superhero show. The Arrow, Flash, are fantastic shows. Daredevil, it's better. The characters are, they're accurately portrayed from the comic books, but they don't mind going outside the comics and doing what needs to be done to make this work on a television scale. And this is obviously, it looks to me to be a higher budget television series. They definitely put a lot of money into the show, and whoever is the showrunner on the show, you're doing an amazing job. And again, enough cannot be said about the fight choreography on this series. It is solid, solid, solid. Some of the best fights I have seen on anything. We're talking TVs and movie. And I watched a lot of different action movies. I grew up with all this stuff, but so well done. We're not seeing a lot of wire work, a lot of CGI. We're seeing just some really cool stuff, and we still haven't seen the Daredevil costume in action, so that'll come along the way. It's really, really addictive, and you get into like about halfway, and it keeps amping it up. So just go out there, watch it. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I think this is probably the best and most accurate, because we're not going to use realistic, it's accurate adaptation of a superhero for any medium yet. So that means it beats out the movie adaptations, which we're going to talk about more in the next video.
That's not difficult.
Yeah, it's true. It's considering some of the movie adaptations of superheroes, that would not be a difficult task. But no, it does. It's really that good. You owe it to yourself to see this. If you're a fan of Daredevil, watch it. If you're just a fan of good TV, watch it, because it's a good show. What do you rank it? Compared to whatever. Compared to the rest. Go compared to the rest.
It is definitely in the top 3.
What's your top 3?
And I don't have them ranked. I think the best superhero shows on TV right now are the one you mentioned, Arrow, Flash, and Daredevil. And I will not rank them as 1, 2, 3 because they each have something different. Arrow has campy, even though it's a drama.
Yeah, it's not too campy.
And all that stuff. But yes, yeah, I think it is a little bit, and that's why I like it. The Flash tries to go for that, for like full funny, ridiculous camp. This one, we'll see where it goes. It's a good detective story.
It's a great detective story. What do you feel about the casting? Do you miss Ben Affleck?
No, God, no. No, I wasn't sure about him.
But Charlie Cox?
Yeah.
I think he's as good.
No, it's good. He's, I was wondering if he was the one doing his fight scenes.
That'd be interesting to know,
Yeah.
actually.
There's a lot of parkour.
A ton of parkour in this.
Stuff there. So.
You get kind of like a Ray Stevenson feel to it. And Ray Stevenson's guy did the Punisher in the Warzone movie.
Yes.
But
smaller though.
Yeah.
He's a small guy. Like you would think that he's a big guy, but he's not. Like he's not a big guy.
Woohoo.
The actor, Daredevil.
Yeah, Charlie Cox. No, he's not. He's like
not,
he's solid. He obviously built some muscle mass for the
yes,
series.
obviously he's strong, but he's not a huge guy at all. So I think I like that too. That it's again, it puts that it's just an everyday.
And the fights are done like that too. There's a emphasis on the fact that his father was a boxer, and it's never played so much in the comic book as much as it has here. When you see Daredevil, I guess you can't really in the comics well see like the fights and the way it's done, but when he's fighting, you can see that, like you can see his dad was a boxer.
He passes out a lot.
Well, it's a real person. If you follow 3 stories, you pass out. If you fall out of a window.
But I'm surprised he doesn't get caught yet because he passes out a lot.
Well, he passes out a lot in areas where there's not like people at.
Well,
which is good. It's because of it. But sooner or later, somebody's got to know who is his identity. Yeah. In the comic books, it's very different, guys. In the comic books, there's no secret identity anymore for the character Daredevil. At least the last time I read it.
They'll go with that in here.
I don't think they're going to go with that. It's dramatic to have him hiding a secret identity. It's right now. This is not Iron Man. He's not going to come out and just go like, by the way, I'm Daredevil. But as it is, I know that the Marvel universe, their cinematic universe, their TV universe is tied together, unlike DC's, and that's a good thing here. I would definitely like to see him show up somewhere down the road.
That would be interesting to see him go to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. maybe.
Oh, God, no. Really? You want him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I think they should. I think it would be interesting to see, like playing Hell's Kitchen.
Maybe an episode.
Detective. Oh, yeah, the crossover. I would like to see that, actually. And you can't say, oh my God, because Arrow and The Flash are very different shows.
But Arrow,
and their crossovers are pretty good.
Yeah, but Arrow and The Flash are solid shows on their own right now. The series Daredevil and there's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there's a huge discrepancy in the quality behind the camera.
Same storyline though. They're following.
I think Daredevil.
Same timeline.
Daredevil is something that will be good to see in an Avengers sequel. There's a character we can see in there. As long as it doesn't go too cartoony.
Put him in a movie.
You gotta put him in a movie sooner or later. Well, the first movie, we are going to see Daredevil in a movie. In fact, we are going to see Daredevil in a miniseries, and it's going to be called The Defenders. It's after all 4 series of Marvel ends, there's a 2-part miniseries that they're going to be doing on Netflix called The Defenders. So basically, you're going to have Daredevil, you're going to have Alias, the Jessica character, and Jessica Jones. We're going to have Power Man, Luke Cage, and we're going to have Iron Fist, and that's going to be really cool. And considering the action sequences in this series right here, I'm extremely excited to see Iron Fist. Because can you imagine if the fighting stays like this, and it stays like... And then this is one place where you can say, well, accurate and realistic. It is extremely accurate, extremely realistic fighting sequences. If you've ever gotten your ass kicked or kicked butt at some point in your life, that's pretty much what it is. You do pass out. You do bleed. It's not clean and it's messy. And Daredevil's fights are brutal and messy and cool. Watch it. For nothing else, if you're a fan of action, you got to see that. Thanks for watching, guys. I want to see more of this. I'm kind of trying to get her to watch more with me today. She's taking a break right now. We're kind of in a breather, kind of in between type of thing. But I'm really, really excited about seeing where it goes from here. Last episode we saw ended on kind of a cliffhanger type thing. So, thanks for watching, guys. Vincent D'Onofrio, amazing. Charlie Cox, amazing. Everybody in this show is doing an incredible job. Go watch Daredevil. Binge watch it if you must, but it's a fantastic show. And I'm trying to drag it out a little bit, but it's really hard because it's really good. And it makes you wonder, would this show work as well if this was a week-to-week show? I think it would because it is solid. But Netflix has really changed the way series are done. It's good that we got these shows to go on a week-to-week basis, but I'm honestly more excited about like watching this and when I watched the last season of House of Cards, which I don't think was as solid as the last two, but it's the first two, and shows like that, and say I was when I watched Game of Thrones, first couple episodes for the fifth season, and this guys, this is the model for television for the future. This is the way shows are going to come. We're going to see them in like blocks like this, done perfectly. Thanks for watching from me right now. 25 minutes, so it's time for tea. And say hello to the great Pin Lord in the sky. Love that drawing, Lauren. And see you guys soon with my next video, which is also superhero related. So it's Superhero Day, Superhero Sunday on Pinch.